We have breaking news from the Associated Press. Another federal judge has rightfully blocked Trump's order temporary to freeze funding. From the Associated Press. Why? Well, let's figure that out in today's video. This article is coming out of Yahoo News. The article is titled, Second Federal Judge Orders Temporary Pause to Trump Administration's Efforts to Freeze Funding, by Michael Casey. And this article came out yesterday at 7:26. And the article reads, a second federal judge on Friday ordered a temporary pause in Trump administration efforts to freeze federal funding in the latest twist over the spending of trillions of dollars in grants and loans. Federal Judge John McConnell sided with nearly 24 states that requested an emergency order preventing most federal agencies from halting funding. Another judge in Washington halted the plan earlier this week, minutes before it was set to go into effect, but her short-term order is only in place until Monday unless she decides to extend it. McConnell ordered the federal government to not to pause, freeze, impede, block, cancel, or terminate funding promised to the state while the temporary restraining order is in place. Quote, the court must act in these early stages of the litigation under the, quote, worst case scenario, quote, because the breadth and the ambiguity of the executive's action makes it impossible to do otherwise, McConnell wrote. The decision was praised by several of the states that were part of the lawsuit. Quote, today's court decision reaffirms that the president cannot unilaterally take away federal funding, especially resources that our kids, seniors, and economy rely on. His reckless actions unleashed chaos and confusion yet demonstrated the enormous power of attorneys general to fight back. End quote. Massachusetts Attorney General Andrea Campbell said in a statement, quote, my office will keep fighting to protect Massachusetts residents from these egregious and unlawful abuses of power, quote. Rhode Island Attorney General Neronda said he appreciated the fact McConnell saw the, quote, irreparable harm that this directive would cause and, frankly, has already caused Americans across the country, end quote. Quote, make no mistake, this federal funding pause was implemented to inspire fear and chaos, and it was successful in that respect, end quote, Naranda said in a statement. Quote, these tactics are intended to wear us down, but with each legal victory, we affirm that these significant and unlawful disruptions won't be tolerated and will certainly be met with swift and immediate action now and in the future. The federal government had opposed the order, arguing there was no basis for what they described as, quote, sweeping relief. The decision from McConnell, who is based in Rhode Island and was appointed by former President Barack Obama, comes despite the Office of Management, OMB, and Budget rescinding a memo outlining a sweeping pause on federal loans and grants. McConnell found that recession was, quote, in name only, and his order was still necessary. The White House press secretary has said that a funding freeze is still planned in line with President Donald Trump's blitz of executive orders. The Republican president wants to increase fossil fuel production, remove protections for transgender people, and end diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. The memo, which was issued earlier this week by the OMB, had frightened states, schools, and organizations that rely on trillions of dollars from Washington. Administration officials said the pause was necessary to review whether spending aligned with Trump's executive orders on issues like climate change and diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. But 2 days later, they sent out a 2-sentence notice rescinding the original memo. A day later, Trump administration officials said programs that provide direct assistance to Americans, including Medicare, Social Security, student loans, and food stamps, would not be affected, but that did little to ease the confusion. Administration officials insisted that despite the confusion, their action still had the intended effect by underscoring to federal agencies their obligation to aid by Trump's executive orders, and that prompted states to request the temporary restraining order. before I continue with the video, or before we continue with the article, ladies and gentlemen, I can confirm that yes, Medicaid and Social Security and EBT, all of those programs are indeed affected by this quote-unquote freeze. So they lied. In the motion, lawyers for Trump's Justice Department argued the federal court lacked jurisdiction and the plaintiffs couldn't use an order that was aimed initially against the OMB memo to seek broader action against Trump's executive orders. They also argued that Trump and the OMB, quote, plainly have authority to direct agencies to fully implement the president's agenda consistent with each individual agency's underlying statutory authorities, close quote. Quote, the president's authority to direct subordinate agencies to implement his agenda subject to those agencies' own statutory authorities is well established, quote. Brett Shumate, who is the acting assistant attorney general wrote, the Trump administration did not immediately comment on the order. The ruling in favor of the states was not unexpected. In a hearing Wednesday on the initial order from the states, McConnell had said he was sympathetic to the argument put forth from the states about the potential harm from any federal funding freeze. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that looks like it's going to do it for today's video. If you did enjoy today's video, please do make sure that you consider liking, subscribing, and commenting on the video, as well as sharing the video. It'll help me out a huge heck of a lot right now, and especially in the near future. Please help me reach my goal of 90 subscribers. I'm at 72 subscribers, which means that I have only 18 more to go until my next goal, which is 90 subscribers. Thank you. And last but not least, before I do close out today's video, I just wanted to point out that I do have Instagram favorites and Snapchat. That'll be linked down below if you guys want to go follow me on there, as I do post when I've uploaded a new video. If you want, go ahead and do that, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day.